Hello 7th and 8th graders. This is Skill Builder 6 and today you will need your Michael Allen warm-ups packet. We're going to look at just a very small portion of this packet in a moment. But first I'm going to cover the new skill that we are learning in these exercises today. So today we are going to be talking about something called shifting. Shifting is a very important skill that we spend a lot of time in middle school going over. If you're an 8th grader and you came to your lessons last year, you probably have learned about shifting in the past. For 7th graders, this might be brand new for you, but regardless of where you're at, I'm going to start at the beginning to make sure everyone is on the same page, and then we will do some shifting exercises. So for anyone who has not learned shifting before, up until this point, everything that you have played on your instrument has been in what we call first position. The best way to tell if you're in first position is if, for all instruments, is that if your first finger on the D string is on the note E, you are in first position. Okay? So wherever home base is for your first finger on every string that we've learned about, that's called first position. And so we can play there and do all sorts of things in first position, but there's also an opportunity to extend our technique and move our hand up. And now my fingers play different notes. Now I know this can be a little bit confusing, and the way I like to introduce shifting right off the bat is to do a very quick exercise. So grab your instrument and your bow, and we're going to do this together. I'd like you to play the note G on the D string. This doesn't work quite as well for bass, so I apologize. For you, it would be your open G. Okay? So here's the note G. It sounds like this. I'm playing, depending on my instrument, the note with 3 or 4 fingers, the way that you learned how to play it back in the 4th grade, right? So this is G. Now I want you to take your hand and move it up so that your first finger is on the note G, on the same string, on the D string. Move your hand up. So my first finger is in the same spot. I moved my thumb with me, by the way. That's how you shift properly. Let me play it again. It sounds the same, right? So these are two different ways of playing the same note. First position. And this for violin, violoncello is called third position. It's called fourth position for bass. So two different ways of playing the same note. You might ask, why would we do this? There are times later when we get to more advanced music where it actually is going to be easier to play in third or fourth position. And there are other positions too, but that's where we start learning, is normally with 3 for violin, violoncello, and then we go to 4 for bass, okay? And so it's important that we develop this skill now so that when you get to the harder music where you have to shift, you know how to do it and you're really comfortable with it. And so we're going to spend time doing all sorts of shifting exercises and making sure that we can play it and read the music and understand when it's telling us to shift. So I understand this is some tough stuff, but stick with me. I know that you all can do this. So today we are only going to be shifting to 2 notes, okay? They are a high D, the top note of your D major scale, and then 1 note higher than that, E. So what I'd like you to do right now is to find the highest note of your D major scale. By the way, for bass, you are already shifted to play this note. You play that D with 4 fingers. You're going to shift even higher in a moment. You're in third position when you play your highest note of the D major scale. But everyone else, find your high D. It's 3 fingers for violin, viola, 4 fingers for cello, 4 fingers for bass. So now what I'd like you to do is to take your hand and move it up so your first finger is where your finger for the high D was before. So in the same spot, but with your first finger. When I shift, and I showed you this before, but I'm showing you again, I move my whole hand with me. My thumb follows my index finger. It would look the same if I played, let me turn this way. It would look the same if I played cello or bass. My thumb goes with me. Don't leave your thumb back here. You'll have a really hard time later. So go ahead and put your first finger where that high D was. This is third position for violin, viola, cello, fourth position for bass. And now what we're going to do is put down the fingers for the next note, for E, for high E. Violins and violas, it's a second finger, 1 whole step or a space from your first finger. Cellos, it's 3 fingers. Most of you should have a sticker for where your third finger should go. Bass, it is 4 fingers. It should sound like this. That's E. So it's D, E. Those are the only two notes we are shifting to today. And I think that's going to be plenty challenging for some of us. That's why we're keeping it really, really simple. So go ahead and look at your Michael Allen warm-ups packet. Number 24. These are 2 measure exercises that we repeat. So we'll end up playing a total of 4 measures. For number 24, you see the first thing we play is open D, and then we play the note B. After that, we have D, E, D, and then an open D. So the D, E, and D are the ones that we are going to shift to. You can see that the finger number over that high D is probably different than the finger number you're used to. In fact, for all of us, it should be a 1 because we're shifting up to play that note with our first finger. And you can see that before that 1, there's a little dash. And a lot of times I'll get questions of, why does it say -1? How do I play with -1 fingers? The dash is a musical notation to tell you that you are moving your hand. So it means that you are shifting to get to that note. So I had played, sorry, I whacked my music stand there. So I had played open D and then B, and then to get to the high D, I had to shift. I had to move my hand up. It would look the same. It would be the same notation if I was in 3rd position or 4th position, and I had to move back to 1st position. So the dash just means before you play this note, you need to move your hand. And that's a very common thing that you will see, and it's there to help you. It's a help to remind you that you need to move your hand. And I even put that in my music. When I'm playing something and I put a fingering in, if I know I need to shift to get to that note, I put a little dash. So it's not a negative sign, it just means to shift. So I have, for number 24, D, B, shift to D. I went a little too high there, and that's okay. You might go too high or too low. We want to make sure we get it right on the money, though, with where it should go. The next one is E, so it's either 2, 3, or 4, depending on your instrument. E, D, open D. Let's play that together in rhythm with the repeat. So number 24, 1, 2, here we go. Back to first. Good. While you play that open D at the end before the repeat, you have to go back to 1st position and get ready for the repeat, right? Number 25, this is a little bit more challenging now because we play D, B, and then we shift to that position, but we put our fingers down for E. I have a trick, or a little, I guess it's a technique for practicing. This is not really a trick because it's just an easy way to practice, to make this easier for you. So the first few times that you practice it, I'd like you to do it like this. D, B, shift, and put your finger down for E. So instead of jumping right to it, you're going to shift, put your finger down for D, put your finger down for E. Okay, let's do that again. We're going to pause before we play the E. So 25, D, B, up to D, put your fingers down for E. Okay, once you have that down, you should be able to eliminate the pause and putting your first finger down. You still want your first finger to find the note D, but you should be able to do that very, very quickly. So let me do 25 the way it should sound with the repeat. So ready? Here we go. Back to first. All right, 26. This one should be pretty easy. D, B, C sharp, shift to D, to 3rd position for violin, viola, cello, 4th position for bass, and then play D, D, open D. Let's play it, 26, with the repeat. 1, 2, here we go. Awesome. All right, 27 is a little bit of a trick. They're trying to get you to make sure that you're really watching and doing what they're asking you to do. So 27, we have 2 open Ds. Then you have 2 high Ds. And you can see that the finger on top, the finger number should be 1 for the Ds. So you are already in third position. So before you start 27, you should have your hand in third position with your first finger down on the note D, ready to roll, right? Then you can see that notation that I talked about with the dash. When you go back to B, to first position, there's a dash to remind you to go back, okay? So from now on, as we're working on these things and you're looking at your music, you really have to be on the lookout for what finger numbers. By the time you get to middle school, there probably are not many finger numbers over your music, so it's going to be really important when you see finger numbers that you check them out and say, maybe they're telling me that I need to do a different position here. And so it's important that you are watching for all of these, okay? So 27, 2 open Ds, then we're already in third or fourth position, and we're going to high D. Okay, so 27 with the repeat. 1, 2, here we go. Awesome. 28. We have 2 more. You guys are doing so awesome. We are doing 28. This is another one. We start in we start in third or fourth position with our first finger on the note high D. D, D, high D, high D, high D, shift back to first, C sharp, B. The only person that will not be the same for, the only people are bass players, because bass players, you have to go to third position to play C sharp, okay? But other than that, for everyone else, we can go back to first to play C sharp. So here's 28. 1, 2, here we go. And last but not least, number 29, we are starting in third position, and we have open, open, 1, 1 in third, just one E, I'm sorry, E, however you play E, 2 fingers for violin, viola, 3 fingers for cello, 4 fingers for bass, E, and then back to first position, B, B. Here's 29. 1, 2, here we go. All right, that is all of the shifting exercises we are going to do today. I'd like to caution you from something that sometimes students will do when we start to learn shifting. It is possible to play all of these things that we just worked on in first position, to never go up to third or fourth, depending on your instrument, and to just stay down here and play the notes that we know and love the way that we have always played them. It's possible to do that. You would sound exactly like your neighbor, but you're not helping yourself learn how to shift. And so I'm going to ask you all to put forth the effort to make sure you really are shifting. You're actually doing it, even if it's hard. I know this is going to be challenging, and I don't expect it to be perfect after a week. This is something we will spend probably the rest of the year working on. This is something that by the end of middle school I want you to be solid on, because in high school you do need to know how to shift. There is shifting that happens in the music, and even sometimes it happens in middle school, so you might see that as a middle schooler too. So make sure that you are actually practicing, that you're being aware. Sometimes it's not on purpose that people don't do it, but it's because they're not aware of what it's asking them to do. So make sure you're watching the music, you see what finger number, if there's a dash, that means you need to move your hand, and that you're practicing it with the shifting. And if you do that, I promise it will get easier. That skill will become a lot easier and more comfortable for you. It'll be like playing in first position, which used to be hard, but now it hopefully is easy. All right, so great job today. We will continue to work on shifting next time. Have a great day, and I'll see you in class.